Welcome to the Beyond the Vines podcast, where I interview local business owners in Sonoma County to highlight small business and grow our community. I'm your host, Amy Ehlers, a mom, realtor, and Sonoma County native, and I'm excited to connect you to some amazing people in this beautiful area that we call home. Welcome back to the Beyond the Vines podcast. Thank you again for listening. I have a topic today that I kind of geek out over, so I'm excited for this. We are here today with Yaasha Sabba. He's the Chief Counsel at Sky Unlimited Law. Woohoo! Yaasha Sabba stands as a distinguished personal family lawyer and Chief Counsel at Sky Unlimited Law, situated in the bustling heart of San Francisco. Recognizing the shortcomings of traditional estate planning, Yaasha has made it his mission to challenge the status quo, ensuring clients and their families receive unparalleled service. Rejecting the one-size-fits-all approach that many law firms adopt, Yaasha and his team have developed bespoke systems tailored for entrepreneurs, investors, and their families. These innovative systems adeptly navigate the ever-changing business and personal landscapes, ensuring clients remain poised for growth and security. Before pivoting to estate planning, Yaasha honed his strategic planning skills as a patent attorney at Visa Inc. Under his leadership, his team managed a global portfolio of over 1,500 patents, including revolutionary technologies and powered platforms like Apple Pay, which I use way too much, and Android Pay. Today, Yaasha's extensive expertise encompasses advising business owners and investors on their legal, insurance, financial, and tax strategies, and guiding families in safeguarding their children, assets, and legacies. Beyond the confines of his office, Yaasha's dedication to community shines. He trains over 500 attorneys across the country in foundational estate planning, best practices, mentors clients on financial literacy, and delivers insightful presentations on personal financial growth, kids protection planning, and asset protection. As a staunch advocate for proactive planning, Yaasha often remarks, it's easier than ever to start growing your family wealth and take control of your life. And with that, I welcome Yaasha.
Thank you very much for having me, Amy.
Thanks.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad we have a mutual friend that connected us, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
She's wonderful. So tell me a little bit, what inspired you to start pursuing estate planning law, and how did you get started with Sky Unlimited Law?
Oh boy. It's what happened was around the time I was a patent attorney working on Apple Pay, Samsung Pay. Once Apple Pay launched its patents, that's when I was like, okay, here we are. And career-wise, that was a great accomplishment, supporting the team and helping everyone make that happen and bringing digital payments to the world. But I'm ready to do my own thing. I was an entrepreneur, a rebel in the corporate space. That I was like I love that. Not getting in fights or anything like that. But I was always very helpful, diligent. I love talking to people about their money.
That's a fun topic.
Yeah. But I didn't want to manage their money, be a financial advisor or anything like that. That just wasn't me. Still wanted to use my law degree. I had raised my own shingle, started Sky Unlimited back in 2017. And we were helping business clients at the time with their intellectual property and helping entrepreneurs start up. So I was really good at taking big ideas and saying, okay, here's how you're going to build your company, get going, you know?
Right.
And once you make more money, more problems, I'm here to help. So from there, tragedy struck with my best client. She was very young, in her 20s.
Oh, no.
We had projected she was going to be a millionaire in 10 years of running her business, no investors, all bootstrapped, self-funded.
Wow.
Very niche business, wasn't going to be a unicorn. That wasn't what she wanted, but she wanted to have a multi-million-dollar enterprise. And she could get there in 10 or 20 years. And so every dime she was earning from her company, she was putting it back into the business because it was in deep growth mode. And this is what we want in the Bay Area, in Silicon Valley, most particularly. And we want people to take their ideas and go grow. Well, in order to do that, you either have investors or you have your own money. And while you have your own money, the hardest thing for entrepreneurs in just the world is family, obligations, expenses.
Absolutely.
So all of her bills were still being supported by her through income from her parents. So she was still getting money from her parents that wanted to support her in growing her business and growing her life. But it wasn't a lot. And tragedy struck where both mom and dad died within the same year of each other, roughly 9 months from each other.
Oh, how scary.
I usually water down this story, not to get too deep, but now we're on a podcast where we don't have a timeline. Right. So I'm going to be a little bit more detailed. Dad died first. He didn't have any assets.
Okay.
His estate was taken care of by mom. 9 months later, mom passes away.
Wow.
Mom had 3 rental properties, 2 rental properties, her primary residence. One rental property was in Las Vegas. The other one was in Merced, where my client's younger sister was attending college, UC Merced. She had a room there and she had some roommates. Both Las Vegas and Merced were both paid off. I know you know the value of a paid off home.
Absolutely.
There you go. Right, so no mortgage on that. But during the time that Mom purchased these properties, she had taken on extra loans on her own home in Castro Valley, which was more expensive than these other 2 properties. So Castro Valley, because of those loans and the values of prices of housing dropping, was a little bit underwater, right? Believe it or not. And this was what, 2015.
Okay, so before pandemic,
so
obviously.
Before even this, actually no, because this was right once my law firm started. I was side hustling this client.
Right.
So don't tell my former employer that.
They won't hear this.
So I was supporting her before the law firm even opened. Once the law firm opened, she was fully in. So her mom had passed that year, 2017.
Wow.
So this was like the property values have gone up. There's no reason why anyone's property should be underwater in the Bay Area yet. Magically, somehow, I don't know how it happened, her property had just shy a little bit more debt than the equity value. Mom was a housekeeper. She was working for well-to-do families. She loved her job. She loved her daughters. Her American dream was they're from an Asian culture. And the idea for most Americans, the American dream is you stand on the shoulders of your parents and you do better. The grass just keeps getting greener. At some point, it's AstroTurf. It'll stay green forever. But
ooh, I like that reference.
What was happening with Mom was while she was working her ass off, she was taking every penny she had and putting it into those 2 properties, one in Vegas that she had a friend, her sister was out there as a real estate agent, so it was an opportunity, a rental property. And another one in Merced, 2 properties for her 2 daughters. If she could pass on a home, a roof over the head of her 2 daughters, she's living the American dream. Keeping a roof over your children's heads. That's a very Asian concept, right? Of success in the family. They don't say you're going to get rich or you're going to do better than me. I think most millennials, Gen Z, and even Gen X are kind of like, yeah, the American dream's dead, man. I don't believe in that at all. I think it's much alive. My quote still stands, especially today with the volatility, with the elections, with all the animosity out in the world. There's still so much opportunity. People just need to get financially organized and kind of prepare themselves with reality of their world, of their income and that, and then address it from there. Inch by inch, you build. So she was planning and building inch by inch. By the time she died, we had a trust. And my client came to me. This is how I found out. She said, "Yaasha, you're fired." And I said, "WTF?" Excuse you? You don't fire me. I fire you. You know? So I was like, wait a minute. First, you're my best client. You're my best paying client.
As you're starting,
you're going to get rich. We're doing this. You are going to make this happen. Why are you letting me go? And then she said, because I can't afford to keep my business open anymore. That's where I'm crying now, saying, wait a minute. I worked so hard for your own company to really get that going up. Why are you just quitting all of a sudden? I know it's hard, but girl, I'll help you. We'll find an investor. We'll find partner. Like there's so much solutions that you can do. She said, no, you don't understand. I can't afford it because my parents died and now I have to deal with their stuff. And my uncle came in from overseas and he's trying to take all my mom's assets from me. I was like, whoa, wait a minute, what? And that's when I heard about the situation. And I've done a little bit of estate planning in law school, dabbling with that, working in the back end with some friends that had lost their parents. So I knew how quickly it can get expensive and how quickly it can get nasty. And most clients that come to me, they say, my family's all good. Everyone's working together. I have to readjust their mindset to say, yes, but you're also here acting as a bridge, acting as a love connection between the siblings, acting as a mediator between conflicts. Now, let's imagine you're no longer here. And all I have is your net worth, which is now liquid because you're dead. So nobody's going to sell their primary residence. So they don't see their primary residence as an asset. But for your children, when you die, your children will go live with some guardian, other family member or somewhere. And now your residence becomes money.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, we have to look at all your assets. And while you might not think of yourself as rich or having a ton to give away to family, you might be aware that there's going to be some kind of inheritance.
Yeah.
You might hope that your home remains intact and becomes the home for your kids one day. But if your kids moved or working in Colorado or something, that home is either a rental property or it's liquid cash. So what does that look like now that it's liquid cash to your kids? Or is one of them going to want the home, the other one going to want to sell it? So this is what's happening with this story here. Uncle's not a U.S. citizen. He comes in from overseas.
Okay.
And he pulls a will out of his ass.
Wow.
Sorry, it's far from my profanity.
Oh, you're fine for that.
So
no, don't worry about that.
I get very comfortable thinking about
Don't worry about that.
So he
where
pulls
did this will come from?
So the story was, when mom went over to the Philippines, they were Filipino, to deal and settle with dad's affairs, she created this will for herself. And she said in her will, both of those pieces of real estate that are fully paid off go to uncle, her brother.
Wow.
And then the other home, the final home in Castro Valley that's underwater, goes to her 2 daughters, which her 2 daughters cannot afford to pay that mortgage because one of them doesn't have a job. They have a startup.
Yeah.
The other one's in college.
Yep.
So this home is going to have to get sold and nobody's making money off of that. Because it's underwater, it's all going to the bank and the bank will just cut its losses, you know? So this is where, fortunately, the daughters weren't responsible on the mortgage. There's federal law protecting that stuff. We could talk about that. But this is a nasty situation.
Yeah.
They were very close to their cousins, very close to their uncle, and like a snap judgment in a moment with uncle just trying to take over the estate, thinking in other societies and other cultures, the eldest son inherits all the... So this is where the mindset's coming from. So can I truly blame him for that? It's un-American, but I don't know. Right. He's not an American, so do I blame him for that?
It's
but
different.
Now I'm in court.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in court on behalf of the girls. We re-engaged. Thank God she rehired me.
Yeah.
And from there, we're basically fighting the uncle in court. It ended up costing this whole battle $200.
Oh gosh.
It was like $220,000 to $270,000. We had to have 2 probate proceedings, one in California, one in Nevada, because the real estate in Nevada is under Nevada jurisdiction. Now, difference of states and laws become a thing. And we're like, Jesus Christ, this is crazy. And from there, turns out mom had a trust. And I said, why are we even in court? Mom had a trust. Everything's supposed to be in the trust. There you go. She didn't have all 3 homes titled to her trust. Her trust wasn't, as we call it, funded. And what that basically meant, and here's the worst part, she didn't have a will. So that's why uncle was able to come up with the will out of nowhere. And we were basically battling that will to say it was fake. You know, and she never made that. We tried to argue with the court that let's bring the homes into the trust. It was her intent. But it's easy to do when you've got a few other things, like the trust didn't list the homes as trust assets. We didn't have a will saying everything in my estate should go into this trust. Most people, when they complete a trust, they feel like it's like a will. A trust is like a will substitute. The difference, though, is you sign a will, it takes care of everything in court. Most people don't understand. All wills have to go to court because only a judge can authenticate a will. A trust, you sign it, it doesn't just take care of everything. That's where people believe it does.
You have to actually
put it in.
List it all out.
What I like to do in my presentations to like the community, I work with an organization that we give community presentations to everyone. It's part of a way of how people get to know me and I get some clients. But it's also my way of giving back to the community, educating. This right here. What ends up happening is think of your estate as one giant grocery store. All the assets on the shelves, that's all your belongings, your bank accounts, your retirement accounts, your insurance policy, cars, jewelry, Bitcoin, all of it. They're all on the shelves and they all have your name on the label. Now, the checkout line, that's the probate court. The cashier is the judge. So when you die and you don't have an estate plan, all of your assets have to go through the checkout line. And the judge is basically reading the government's plan. If you have a will, that's where your executor in your will hands the plan over to the cashier, the judge, and saying, We're not following the government's plan. We're following this plan, and that's fine.
Right.
And the judge says, fine, give it to me. The judge authenticates the will saying, yep, this is a legitimate will. This is this person's will who died. So now let's start the checkout process. And the first people in line to bag your goods is the IRS and your creditors. They come first.
Yep.
Probate, a lawsuit you file against yourself on behalf of your creditors paid for by your estate, has nothing to do with your family.
Wow.
Right? So probate is about protecting your creditors, all those IOUs.
Interesting way to look at that. Yes.
And then your assets are what pay those creditors back. Once they're whole, then your family gets whatever your will says is supposed to happen next. Right?
That's a really good way to look at it.
So now let's think about this same analogy. When you make a beneficiary designation, like on a bank account, that's the equivalent of someone walking into your grocery store with a coupon that's getting the ketchup bottle that has your name, but this coupon says the ketchup bottle now goes to me. So I grab that ketchup bottle and I walk right out of the grocery store. I skip the checkout line. No probate.
Right.
Right. So beneficiary designation.
Which saves money, I assume.
Saves a ton of money. Saves a ton of. We'll talk about how much probate costs. Oh my God. It's ridiculous. In California, it's vicious.
Wow.
So if you build a trust, what are you doing? In essence, when you build a trust, you're moving a shopping cart into your grocery store. That's it. You can actually have as many trusts as you want, as many shopping carts as you can fit into your store.
Right.
So what do you have when you sign that trust document? An empty shopping cart. It then behooves you to transfer your individual items on the shelf into your cart. That's
house,
what we
your
your
bank
house,
accounts,
your bank accounts,
everything. Yeah.
You certain assets can't be like
properties.
retirement accounts can't be transferred to your trust. Those are regulated. There's tax complications with that. But then you name your trust as the beneficiary. So your trustee, who's in charge of your trust, will be pushing that shopping cart when you die, your successor trustee. And then they'll start using coupons to go grab all the other assets right before leaving the grocery store, skipping the checkout line.
Right.
I think that's as easy an analogy I've been able to come up with to kind of explain these complex nuances and buckets of how your assets get divvied up. Ownership first, checkout line. If there's a co-owner, they own the ketchup bottle.
Right.
If you own the house with me, you walk into the grocery store, grab the ketchup bottle saying, my name is on the bottle, it's mine. And it goes automatically to you.
Right.
That overrides your will. Joint ownership overrides the will. Beneficiary designations, the coupon. You go in saying, nope, my name's on this coupon. That ketchup bottle belongs to me. Beneficiary designations override the will.
Wow.
And then everything else goes through the checkout line. That's your will. We call that your probate estate. What you want to do to calculate how much it's going to cost to go in and out of court, assuming no conflict, no creditors. We take 5% of the total value of the assets of the probate estate. So for California, it's about 5%.
Wow.
New York, it's about 5%. Places like Texas, Florida, Florida, it's about 3%.
Okay.
The cost overall, the bond fees, the attorney fees, the court fees, just the overall cost. That's what we're looking at. Texas, it's probably down to 2 to 2.5.
Okay.
It can really get very simple. In all the other states, it's roughly 2 to 3%. The reason why California is so expensive to go through probate is because when real estate goes into probate, we don't care about your mortgage.
Right.
We take the fair market value of the property, multiply that by 5%. That's how much the attorney's getting paid. The executor gets paid the exact same amount as the attorney, unless your will says otherwise. Most people's wills don't say otherwise.
Right.
And then there's the publication in the newspaper announcing, hear ye, all creditors.
Right.
Somebody has died. Their assets are now going through probate.
Are their creditors really reading that in the newspaper all the time, looking to see who they
So
might
it's
have?
like, think about it this way. Whenever someone transfers their home without telling the bank, how does the bank find out?
Right.
There's third-party service providers, and then literally it's all automated now, that basically is tracking the transfer of real estate, the filing of death certificates, all this kind of stuff. And then, yes, the publication of people's death in newspapers is getting tracked. And then it goes into a database that the larger bank enterprises receive. And that's how they get all the signals about someone's died. A lot of people question, like, Yaasha, they froze the bank accounts. How the F did they know that my mom had died because they froze these accounts? I didn't tell anybody. I was like, one way or another. And I know the signals now that I can say, oh, you did this. Oh, you did that.
Interesting.
And because death is a whole thing. When you really think about that concept, we all own something.
Absolutely.
And everybody has to die at some point in time. We still haven't built a pill for invincibility. keep trying. And
you'll be out of the business though.
Yeah, and if you make that pill, you'll be a trillionaire. Come talk to me. More money, more problems. I know how to help you.
You'll help with the business development.
Yeah, I will help you with not only the business development, but dealing with your taxes.
Yeah, there you go.
Planning ahead solves those problems. I want everyone to know Peter Thiel's got like $100 million in a Roth IRA right now. That's planning ahead.
Wow.
Think about that. So from here, this lady who died, my client's mom, had this trust that was utterly useless. It was a stack of expensive toilet paper.
Wow.
I wanted to go after the attorney for malpractice. So remember, I came from an enterprise company, top echelon, making deals with like Apple and Visa and all that kind of stuff. So I had a lot of up there attorneys, right? High enterprise level attorneys. I went to my favorite law firms that I had worked with in the past and said, give me your best estate planning litigator. We're going after this guy, you know? And after talking with all of them, they were like, Yaasha, thanks for the lunch. But it's not malpractice. And I was like, what? Not malpractice? Why?
Yeah.
And they're like, it's mom's fault for not funding her trusts.
Right.
It's her prerogative on whether or not you fund your trust. Signing a trust doesn't mean you want all your assets in the trust, because you can have multiple trusts, multiple grocery carts in your store doing different things. I have clients that have like, it gets a little gnarly. I have some clients that have like 12 trusts, one trust for the car, one trust for this house, one trust for that house, one trust for life insurance. And there's a reason why we set this all up. These particular clients want extra layers of privacy.
Right.
Because they have a lot of exposure in the cybersecurity world, or they're celebrities, stuff like that. So it gets more costly. It's more technical. Not our typical family problems. But a typical family will have at least one, if not two, trusts. And that's where a judge in a court of law can't just assume that you wanted something in there. So because of that, we couldn't assume. I didn't have enough evidence showing we wanted the houses.
Wanted it in there.
So the trust was pushed aside. It was not malpractice. Today, it would almost be malpractice.
Oh, it changed.
It's shifted where if you're a regular middle-class family, you're trying to build an estate plan to protect your kids, and the attorney doesn't put your primary residence into the trust, that is a good malpractice argument right there. Okay. But your rental properties and all that, no.
Right.
It is still the client's prerogative. And this was a time where the traditional model of law, most attorneys were just pumping out legal documents. And this is where
they're not sitting down.
I get into my soapbox. I teach 600 attorneys, like, our jobs as personal family lawyers is not to just pump out legal documents. And legal documents are free online. Tell the clients, go online and get your legal documents if that's all you want. And some people, that's what they want. Good. It's all there. ChatGPT now can help you draft legal documents if you wanted to. I've tried. It's not good so far. So give it about maybe 5 more years and we'll get there. But you still have LegalZoom, Rocket Lawyer. They can build trusts for you. Are they going to be great? Hell no. They're going to be very bare bones. But for some people, that's fine. I would say for most families, you might want a little bit more analysis. So what we do is we help our clients get financially organized. We build an asset inventory. Most law firms don't do this. By doing that, it helps us track where your assets are right now, which bucket are they in, joint ownership, beneficiary designation, probate. I can't tell you how many clients I find that they just come to review their trust with me, and before we even touch the trust, we look at their asset inventory. I was like, oh, well, you've got this trust, but most of your assets are still in probate. And they're like, what? And I was like, it'll inevitably get in the trust because your lawyer was smart and built a will. In addition, your will says anything in the probate estate, put it in the trust, but you still have to go through that expensive process and have that will authenticated. Like, it's still a probate nonetheless. So at that point, we're helping them get educated and fund their trust.
That's great.
So now these girls, what drove me into estate planning, long answer, I know. Was
good answer though.
I don't care necessarily about the legal documents or avoiding court or conflict. That's the essence of planning, is avoiding court and conflict. It's more about this client of mine had to shut down her company that would have made her a millionaire, if not multimillionaire.
To deal with.
She had to rush to get a job to support her and her younger sister. Her younger sister had to get student loans and go into debt. My client went and got a job. She started getting paid about $70,000 working at a community college you know? Not bad.
Right.
That's not a great salary to most Bay Areans, but it's still something.
Yep.
She's now making about 130.
Okay.
A few promotions, checked in on her once, but no startup. She's not going in that direction anymore. She doesn't want to deal with it. She doesn't have the income, and now she's older, more obligations. You know, she got married. She's starting her family. But I want you to imagine impact to life.
Yeah.
Mom's decisions, mom's choices, and mom's lack of education
Right.
impacted her daughters.
Right.
Where when mom died, her daughters ended up with lower income, more debt,
Wow.
less assets, family conflict. They don't talk to dad anymore. And do you hear me?
Yep.
I'm blaming mom.
Right.
Is that right?
No,
Is
because you
that
only
fair?
know what you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So while I have this conflict within, how can I blame mom when the world and all the lawyers are
Right.
telling me, blame mom? It's her fault for not getting her shit together.
Right.
But then at the same time, she tried and she went to somebody and she tried to build a plan. And that somebody, this is where I'm going to brush my shoulder off. That somebody hustled her, you know? But
Right.
I don't know. Maybe that someone
Right.
was a genuine attorney thinking that they're doing the right thing for her, because the whole model of estate planning traditionally in this country is absolutely flawed.
Interesting.
It sets all the wrong economic incentives. So
Yeah.
now I teach people, half of the law firms that do estate planning, they charge by the hour. The other half, they charge a flat fee.
Okay.
I don't charge by the hour for any of
Okay.
my clients.
Right.
Everything we do is always a flat fee. Unfortunately, that makes our fees a little higher
Right.
because we are front loading all the work we're anticipating that's going to have. And we are making a promise to the client, we're not going to charge you anymore. And we have clients that they take up our time.
Absolutely.
I have some clients that they make it so easy, so simple that I thank them for it, saying, thank you for making this easy for me.
Right.
I'm here for you, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm running a business. I found a way to be profitable in doing
Definitely.
this. But what this has really done is it's changed the relationship my clients have with me. So for
I love that.
instance, if you have an estate planning attorney and they charge you by the hour and you had a little quick tax question
Right.
that you wanted to ask, you're not going to call or
No.
email your attorney because you're going to be scared of getting a random bill in the mail for $200 to
Absolutely.
$500 for a 15-minute call or a little email that you have to send. Some attorneys are so egregious that when a client sends them an email and they CC all the staff and assistants on it, everyone for reading the email is booking their time against the client. And all of a sudden the client is getting a bill in the mail for like $1,200 for one freaking email. You know,
Wow.
this is law firm 101.
crazy.
This is how they roll. This is how they've rolled since the starting and the foundation of this country, working by the hour. Well, in this field of planning,
Right.
we want to be proactive. There needs to be a lot of education given to the clients so that they can make better financial decisions for their loved ones. And by the way, when the clients are making good financial decisions, they end up making more money.
Yep.
When they end up making more money, more business for the law.
Right.
More money, more problems. We're
Right.
here to help. So from there, it's like, let's realign these incentives. Let's make a proactive relationship with the client where they can come and not be afraid that their attorney is going to bill them. So all my clients, free emails, just give me 15 days to respond. I'm sorry, it's really busy.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can answer and you're very good at answering
Yeah.
questions. And then quick chats, get on my calendar. You might have to wait 4 weeks. Okay.
Right.
If it's life and death, that's what we deal with.
Right.
Say so. My
Yeah.
assistant Eva will take care of it. You know?
Eva's on it.
Eva's on it, yeah. And so from here, this has set up a better relationship for all of us, where now
Exactly. The keyword
clients understand
relationship.
it's
Yep.
it's not something they can get instant answers to. We train them on this. We let them know. But now they're not afraid to ask stupid questions because
Yep.
honestly, there's no such thing as a stupid question in financial planning.
Yep.
If you don't know something, you better learn.
Yep.
You better learn quickly because then you'll make right decisions. So
I love that.
that's what got me in. I think through all that, you kind of saw where my passions are
Yeah.
being pulled from. So
Yeah.
there you go. Long story short,
I love that.
there's a really nasty probate that got me into this. And that was my light bulb moment that
Right.
now I teach not only community members, I teach other lawyers
Yeah.
how to do this planning.
Yeah.
And then they're getting really successful that they start bringing in a lot of more successful families that have a little bit more complicated situations, complicated beneficiaries,
Right.
tax problems, privacy problems. And so now we not only have our own set of clients here in California, which is where I'm licensed to practice, But
wondering
I'm
that.
also
Okay.
supporting families all over the country with co-counsel and consulting.
great.
Stuff like that. Yeah, very
That's
exciting.
amazing.
I love it.
Also, you answered so many of my questions in there, talking about like what estate planning is. We kind of talked about the difference between a will and a trust, obviously.
Yep.
How often, one question that I had, and I know you do like the flat fee, how often should someone revisit their estate plan? Because
fabulous
I
question.
realized it's not a ton of money, of course, but I had opened some accounts this year that were a higher interest rate, and I realized, oh my God, I didn't
move
put them
money
in the
around.
trust. Yeah, I didn't. They're not in the trust, so
Yep.
I need to update that. So, like, how often should somebody sit down with their estate planning attorney and like make those updates?
This is a great question. This is a great question. Typically, most folks are reviewing their trusts every 10 or 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Which is
Okay.
a very bad idea. No. That's not the answer.
It's like, wow, that's really a long time.
That's where most
Okay.
people
Yeah.
are. And that's the trend I'm seeing, because they say, it's been a long time and someone else is talking about a trust, or there's like a life event with some family or relative, and they're like, it's been about 10 years. Maybe we should
Wow.
have this reviewed. In fact, most of the community presentations I do, I have people raise hands. Who set up a trust 10 years ago and is now starting to look at it? So many hands go.
Right.
I don't know what it is about the 10-year mark that gets people
Interesting.
consciously there, but here's the reality. During my time at Visa as a patent attorney, Visa has a chief economist who's this brilliant guy. He's been there a long time. I don't want to disclose names for privacy.
Definitely,
but he gives a presentation to the entire organization. And every year, there was one year where he said, we have been looking at people's credit card and transaction data for over 60 years. The credit card is over 60 years. It's actually 70 years old now.
Wow.
Right? We've had a credit card system for only 70 years.
Wow.
So we've had the debit card since the 90s. So I want you to think about this.
Gosh, yeah.
That is a lot of time
Yeah.
through our cultural shifts and changes to analyze where people put their money. So Google, Facebook, eat your heart out. Your like and click data is nothing to your
Right.
transaction data that
Interesting.
Visa, MasterCard, and the banks all have. They have better data than anybody else.
Wow.
Because where you put your money is really not even where your heart lies. It's where the reality lies.
Yeah.
So analyzing all that, there's a bell curve for all of us in our lives.
Interesting.
Where we get to peak spend. Usually that's around your 40s through 50s.
Okay. That's
where
peak spending time?
Peak spending time.
Good, so I'll be rich after
Spending
50.
a lot of money. Yeah. Well, hopefully. Don't spend all your money, right? Save. So
Definitely.
40s and 50s, we see through everyone might think they're special, but when you put it all together, none of us are special. We're all the same.
Yeah.
It's all just eras of our life, as well as the economy and the politics. But 40s and 50s, you're buying furniture and vacations.
Totally.
50s through 60s, you're no longer buying furniture, you're buying cruises and vacations. If you have kids, that shifts. There's little milestone points, but it's all one bell curve of how you spend your money. So we can take that and we can analyze. What they have found is every 3 years, the way you spend your money shifts. That is a suggestion that every 3 years, something has changed in your life.
Okay.
Kids left home, they go to school in college, they're in a dorm. Now you have an empty nest in the house. You don't have to spend as much on food in the home because the food is being spent at the dorms.
Right.
This has little subtle impacts to your spending ability. Just like you said, the economy is going through this little moment where it sounds kind of stupid to have a savings account that only pays
Right.
0.1% interest when I'm seeing advertising and hearing from my
Exactly.
friends, all these other savings account giving me 4%,
Exactly.
5%. And then I'm looking at my savings account after 2 years of realizing this and realizing maybe I should make a move.
You guys should move this over.
And here you go. Ladies and gentlemen, Amy made a move.
Woo, except
She
for
opened up
I
a
didn't
bunch of
update the
accounts.
trust.
She didn't update her trust.
Yeah.
So now what we do with our clients is we say, any planning you do with us, we are going to review it once every 3 years for free.
That's
I
great.
have found 3 years to be this glorious magic number. Every 3 years, there's maybe a presidential cycle.
Right.
Every 3 to 4 years, there's a new tax bill. So the tax laws
Absolutely.
shift, right? During the Trump era, we went to favorable tax for successful high net worth families, as well as just rich inherited families. Now that's starting to shift because of high inflation and all the government spending. The Uncle Sam is desperate for money, and they want your money. So these tax laws are going to start shifting, you know?
Yeah.
And so that might impact how you invest, how you spend. It might even impact your estate overall. Death taxes. We do have death taxes in this country. It's called the estate tax. It is a tax on your right to transfer your assets to anyone upon your death. If you can control where it goes upon your death, it's yours. That makes up your net worth. The tax rate is 40%. So how does this work? The government gives us all a coupon, an exemption. Right now, we're on President Trump's coupon. So that's at about 13 point. I don't have hard numbers. You can Google this, but it's like 13.2 to 13.7. I think it's $13.6 million. Okay, that's the 1% and more. That's not the middle class. But that's our Robin Hood tax. The estate tax is the tax we use to take from the rich and give to the whatever the government wants to give its money to, Israel, Ukraine, the military. That's politics. Leave that at be. But that's what federal government does. Each state has its own set of death taxes. Fortunately, California, all our movie stars and billionaires, we don't have one here. So it's much less known and less common here because we don't notice it so much. That coupon is coming down in 2026 and shifting back to Obama's number, President Obama's number. So in 2026, we're going to see it cut in half to about 7 to 8 million.
Interesting.
There's a proposal right now out from the Biden administration that it looks like Vice President Harris is hooking onto as part of her campaign policy promises. When she wants to build 3 million homes in the United States, we're currently short 5 million homes. That's been the demand. We need 5 million homes in this country. 5 million, not homes, but units of housing. So apartments, condos, duplex, whatever. Since 2007, we needed 5 million. We're producing 200 to 300,000 a year. That's how desperate we are for housing, by the way. That's why rents are going to grow guaranteed the next 5 years. That's why housing prices are going to grow guaranteed the next 10 years. Demand is so freaking high. Demand is outpacing the economy. Housing prices are supposed to go down when interest rates go up because the demand and the pressure for housing is so high. There's been growth. We had 3% growth on our housing all of last year. So take all that into consideration. And then take the last 3 years, close your eyes. Where were you 3 years ago? How different was your life 3 years ago? Very different than today, you know? So I have a lot of clients coming in for reviews. We see the loose ends. Oh, you new bank accounts. Let's put that on your asset inventory. Did you name the trust as a beneficiary or did you even title it to the trust? No. Now you have homework. You're going to go do that. Right. Oh, a new home and stuff like that. And so if you were proactive, you'd say, Yaasha, I want to dive into this bank account opportunity here. I'm going to open bank accounts. Do I need to do anything on your end? Personal, family, lawyer, just checking with you. I might say, go talk to your financial advisor. I might say, move those accounts into your trust. So these are the little quick things where my team and I could respond if clients aren't afraid to just ask questions. You know, and they shouldn't be penalized for asking questions. So that's the idea there. So with all that 3 years really works really well.
So the 3-year mark.
We've been putting everyone into 3 years. I review all my clients' estate plans, no matter what kind of planning they do with me, for 3 years. Some clients have a little bit more needs.
Yeah, I was going to say probably like a divorce or something that would trigger like, don't wait the 3 years.
So we do have like life event revisions that we do for new babies, stuff like that. But for the most part, sometimes clients, they just want to review instantly. They pay for it. I have VIP clients. We have like a subscription program where if you know you need to talk to me more often, I have some clients that they just really want someone to bounce ideas off, talk to on their side. We make it cost effective for them.
There we go.
Because I have to balance my time and my work, my team's time, all that. But long story short, whoever you work with, you want them reviewing every 3 years. A lot of attorneys will offer to review every year with you. But then are they reaching out to you for your review time? Or do they say in their agreements and their little fine print, you need to reach out to us because they know you're not going to do it. It's one of those opt-out versus opt-in things, right? That's utter bullshit in my mind. Because of course the client's not going to reach out to their attorney to talk about...
Because they're not going to think of it.
Who thinks about their death? And everyone sees this as death planning. What I try to do for our practice is we look at it from a perspective of financial planning, because we review the trust, we review everything. Okay, nothing changes, because what's going to change in 3 years? Not much, unless you have a baby or something.
Right.
But now, by keeping your asset inventory up to date, now I get to really be your consigliere, you know, like the lawyer on The Godfather, the crime boss. Except we're not criminal lawyers. We don't commit crimes.
Right.
But when I look at your asset inventory,
Yeah.
I'm your risk advisor. I'm helping you manage your risk. I look at criminal risk, business risk, audit risk, tax risk.
Yeah.
We can stay completely away from criminal risk, right? But there's moments where you can do something and it might be an audit risk. And
Absolutely.
for some entrepreneurs and families, they say, I'm willing to deal with that. I'm willing to deal with the IRS and their questioning and anything they have, so I can maneuver my assets in a way offers more protection and lowers tax liability as a side effect of doing that. And so that's the kind of stuff we help you analyze every year. If you're not sitting down with a professional of any kind and just someone neutral, not emotionally attached to you, and having a full-blown bird's eye view conversation of your entire estate, your entire net worth, you are missing on so many golden opportunities that can be pointed out to you.
Right.
Most people are just trying to seek alpha. They just want more money because more money will solve our problems. So then they're looking at the fastest and quickest and simplest ways that they can handle to make more money. I love the idea. JMM. That's my motto. If you have a problem, just make money.
Oh, I was like, what is JMM? It took me a second there.
JMM, just make money. It's one of my financial advisor besties that like he's actually out here in Petaluma too. That's one of his mottos that he earned from his mentor. And it really resonated hard with me because as an entrepreneur, it just means, okay, I just have to go get more clients, make more money. That I have rules around that. We don't take on just as many clients as we can because I can't support that.
You're a person.
But there's a way where we can work in the business. And for my wife, she's just a regular W-2 employee. When she says JMM, it's down to what are the priorities of my spending? What are the priorities of my saving? Or how do I increase my salary? Or how do I work towards that bonus or those commissions? So you find where your income sources are. A lot of people, they can say JMM, but then they have a job, probably pays something, probably doesn't pay a tremendous amount. They're not going to be millionaires anytime soon. And then they have high expenses and they're looking around saying, wow, it's really hard to JMM, Yaasha, to
great
just
advice,
make money.
Yaasha.
So great advice for not helping. Those are the hardest parts to be in life. When you are not making a ton and expenses are going up, and look at this. We have to pay, from the 90s, we had to start paying for internet.
Right.
Now we have to pay for cell service, internet, streaming service. Okay, I cut the cable, save some money there. Guess what's coming?
I don't feel like it's saving anymore, though. My Hulu keeps going up.
It's going up. That's right. Because the cost of running it all is still the same, almost the same as running a cable company.
Yeah, didn't used to be like that.
And what's happening now is most people don't see it coming. We're all going to soon be paying a subscription for AI.
Interesting.
So to integrate AI into our lives, our phones, that's not just going to be automatically there. There's going to be ongoing costs for maintaining something like that. In fact, OpenAI, one of the largest AI companies right now, they're making probably $3 to $6 billion in revenue. They're spending still $7 billion a year. So they are still running out of money, still raising money. I think I just heard like a funding round of $154 billion valuation. And they are rushing to build database systems. And now they have a partnership with the iPhone. ChatGPT is integrated into the hardware of your phone. I can hear
she's hearing us right now.
This is going to be great. I love it. This is going to really enhance our lives. I think it's going to enhance the lives of our seniors on so many levels of helping them just navigate complex Medicaid, whatever systems, reading emails, interpreting emails, especially those seniors that don't speak English really well. Communicating back, writing emails. Your phone is going to help you do it. Like we're getting closer to having your device and computers really enhance our lives to a massive level. You're going to pay for that one way. So if you're not planning for those upcoming expenses for inflation and all that, you're falling behind. If you have money in a savings account right now and you're not making at least 4%, you've already fallen behind. Right? Because those interest rates are now coming down. They're not coming down anytime soon. So this is not This is not a saying, don't
Don't
go
go
open
pull
that
your
CD.
money. Yeah.
No, go do it. Go do it right now. Just
go
get what
put
you
it in
can.
there. Exactly.
Why have you been waiting this long? What have you been waiting on the sidelines for?
Yep.
If you were scared, if you had fear, if you've been watching Fox News that's been saying to everyone the world is falling apart, okay.
Right.
Go talk to your personal family lawyer. Maybe they can give you some sanity.
Just call Sasha.
Exactly.
Yaasha.
Exactly. And this is
Wait,
where
hold on. What would that be? JCY. That's your new.
JCY.
That's your thing.
If you want a JMM, JCY.
JCY. Okay, that we're gonna start.
I'm a
using
lawyer.
that.
Acronyms on my life, so we can do that. And this is not another advocate for just calling me, but if you've got a financial planner advisor, this is what they're for.
Definitely.
This is why I love financial advisors and planners.
Yep.
They have a solid role. The hard part is how do they make money? They make their money in portfolio management.
Totally.
You're not going to get a lot of happy advisors that are answering so many questions when the only money they're making off of you is a few $1,000s a year because your portfolio is so small.
Right.
So that's where maybe having a personal family lawyer can give you a little bit of coverage on your financial planning talk. And then we work on saving, and then we find an advisor at the right time that's the right fit, that's willing to help you out. There are financial planners that they don't manage money at all. They are just strictly financial consultants.
I like that.
You pay them a flat fee and they help you get organized and help you analyze too. So there's so many options, so many professionals out there for everyone that insists on doing this stuff themselves.
Yeah.
Unless you're making a return annually of more than what the S&P 500 is giving you.
Right.
Right now, the S&P 500 for the year is at 20%. So for those of us sitting on the sidelines, putting our money in savings accounts at 5%, the stock market made 20%.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you have a stock portfolio? Where is your retirement account right now?
My husband and I have this conversation.
Good. That's that. And this is where spouses. So
Because I'm boring, so I'm more like, hi,
if you're fortunate enough to have a spouse and you're having these combos, that's a little bit of financial planning because you're now attached to someone who's thinking about it. If you're an individual, if you're a widow, if you're just solo throughout life at the moment or forever, that's one of the detriments you have is you need to have someone to talk to.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
You can have those private conversations, attorney-client privilege with a lawyer, a personal family lawyer, your estate planner, or anyone else that just loves talking about money, or find a friend.
I like that.
Or go Susie Orman, read, but do
Susie
something.
Orman. I forgot about her. I do kind of like her.
I love Susie Orman. I love Tony Robbins. I love Susie Orman. There's so many
classics.
Yes.
Yeah.
The downside, though, is they
podcast
preach that you don't need a trust.
Right.
And that's where I say, okay. They're preaching to the masses.
Yeah.
And their target audience are usually people that don't have more than $100,000 in savings. Think about this.
Yeah.
So what I will say to you, measure the fair market value of your real estate, add up all your bank accounts, the death benefit on your life insurance policies.
Great reminder.
Build a list and then calculate this. What of these assets have beneficiary designations? What have joint owners? Those stay out of probate. Everything else is in your probate estate. Multiply that by 5%. That's how much it's going to cost you. You better set up an estate plan. Right. Either beneficiary designations on everything or a trust. Now, when you do beneficiary designations on everything, you're really only creating a death plan. You're not protecting yourself during life. This is where traditional lawyers, they focus on death too much.
I see.
And that's why you're coming to me, because you have someone you want to protect, a loved one or an asset that needs protection if something happens to you. But you're going to be alive. I plan on all my clients living to their 90s. Right. I'll live to my hundreds. I have to outlive the client. So
well, that's true. They need you.
Yeah. I told the clients every 3 years.
I have had that thought.
we're going to see every 3 years how you age.
Yeah.
I like telling everyone I'm going to invest in Botox so I can look the same, so my clients will recognize me. So that's the
Botox
plan.
And hair dye.
At that point, that's when instead of focusing on their death, I'm focusing on, with their asset inventory in mind, their long-term care plan. How are you going to afford being in your 90s? What person do you know that's 90 years old, knows how to drive a car, or still has their license? Now, I have a lot of 90-year-olds that still have their license, but don't be surprised if the government comes in one day saying, at this age, you can no longer drive. We are starting to have a conversation about seniors in this country. It started with President Biden running for election. And from there, there's this kind of awkwardness of everyone saying he's too old to run this country, which what may be true or not true about that, push that aside.
It's a conversation.
Just the fact that somebody consciously wanted to become in a position,
interesting,
job, and they're being told they're too old. And everyone's very aware of this in the workspace for those people that can't afford to retire and they still want to work or they still want to maintain their careers, but they feel like they're being pushed out by their companies because their salary got so expensive and someone younger and cheaper can do the same job. So that's where getting hired gets harder.
Yeah,
this is the kind of stuff that we really never addressed. We have some laws around age discrimination and all that.
Right.
Why wasn't anyone screaming age discrimination for president?
know.
Oh, it's because he's running for president and that's the biggest power. He's got the nuclear launch codes. We want someone that's going to be acutely aware of what's going on. Donald Trump's not that far off from him.
Right.
So and he had a lot of fumbles and so he's slowing down and he recognized that and that was good. I like that he stepped down. That was huge in my opinion. But I'm seeing that concept now starting to happen with my seniors.
Interesting.
And we're living longer.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Biotechnology is getting better. So don't be surprised. The government will come in maybe 10 years, 15 years from now, more AI, better technology to serve everyone. The government says, you know what, seniors should just not be driving. Yeah. They can use Waymo from now on.
Interesting.
So these are the conversations that most people don't anticipate.
Totally.
They just look at their finances static and they think, how much money do I want for next year? They don't think, did you know in California, it costs an average of $172,000 a year to be in a nursing home. And that's not with your own private room.
Right.
And that's not a nice nursing home. It's a shitty home.
Right.
Usually it's like just a shitty facility that's 4 hours away from your family because you couldn't find anything closer because they didn't have enough beds. They didn't have room. And then boom, you are paying that much money. Across the country, the average is about $127,000 a year.
It's terrible.
Right. Now, fortunately, we've got government benefits. We have entitlements and we have your money. That's all going to pay for that. But if you're not prepared and if you're not thinking about it and if you're coming at the last minute when you're older now, things are a little harder for you. So you're using your family members to help you. There's a little bit of manipulation that can happen there.
Absolutely.
Senior abuse, elder abuse is on the rise. A lot of the governments, counties, local counties are starting to create whole law enforcement departments for this topic of elder fraud.
Yeah.
You know, which is good. But then think about it. Now I have a client, 80 something years old, doing some estate planning and gets a random call to the police department saying him and his partner, because his wife died and now he's got a partner and the partner's a little bit younger and the kids are jelly, you know? And from there, all of a sudden, someone named Chandler is calling the police department, getting involved, saying, we think that this person is involved with someone else that's not married to them and they're doing large transactions. So now my client, who is high net worth, still highly intelligent, highly capable of moving. He's got his faculties. Has to go through the humiliation of a police officer coming to his door saying, we think you might be susceptible to fraud. And so tell us more about your private life and what's going on. So the government getting involved. If you don't like that or you do like, so it's like, it's good and it's bad. And we're still figuring out what's the best way to approach this socially. Because yes, once you reach 80 years old, you are absolutely susceptible to manipulation because your cognitive ability starts to slow down. It's a biological fact. Right. But there's so many ways you safeguard an estate plan, power of attorney, trust, will, safeguards that you don't end up in a conservatorship like Britney Spears, where the government is dictating what happens to you next, you know? So,
that's so
this is where we're on the cusp of the largest amounts of citizens, Americans, not citizens, Americans are retiring. The bell curve of baby boomers heading into retirement, we're already past 50%. 50% of boomers are already retired. They're no longer working. They might still have some jobs, but they're really living off of their savings and investments. The other half of the bell curve are a combination of those who can't afford to retire, okay, and then those who are business owners, because there's like this 80-80-80 rule. 80% of a business owner's wealth is tied up in their business.
Interesting.
Let's go to the next 80 rule. 80% of those businesses will just fall apart and crumble when the business owner retires.
Interesting. Okay.
Right. Let's go to the next 80. If the business owner does have the ability to sell their business, pull the money out of that blood, sweat, and tears they put into it, and that becomes their retirement, 80% of them regret it.
Oh, wow.
Because once they sell the business, now they have nothing to do.
Yep.
Their spouse, who might have also had a job or retired earlier from their job and now they're living at home, is used to them being at home 3 to 4 hours a day for night. Then they go to bed. Now they're home 8 to 12 hours a day. It's a very different dynamic in the family. You know?
Oh, yeah.
We saw how COVID, shelter in place, created a lot of divorces. A lot of young spouses were like, I liked you when you had your career and you were in the office the whole time. Now that you're here, I don't like you anymore. It's ridiculous.
That's funny.
So
That's really
those relationships should be in question to begin with.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is where
Interesting.
for you and me and all the other professional advisors, there's a golden opportunity right now because the economy is not a symmetrical bell curve. It's a skewed curve where all of the Fortune 500 enterprises make a major amount of the economic activity and manipulation of the markets, but there's a huge long tail to that curve. And if you add up the value of that long tail, that is mid-sized businesses that are not enterprise, mostly owned by baby boomers right now.
Interesting.
That actually is what makes up the economy, small business, right?
Yep.
More valuable collectively than all of the Fortune 500 combined.
Interesting.
Really fascinating.
Yeah.
And now here we are.
Yeah.
There's all these small businesses that are making revenue. They're making savings from a restaurant to a coffee shop to legit a small software company, professional services company, a law firm, you know, all kinds of businesses, especially businesses out here in Petaluma that are still in the hands of their original owners.
Interesting.
Who are near or past retirement age. Some of them don't want to let go. They don't want to retire, which is fine. Some of them would love to, but they don't know how. And the business is starting to go down in value because they're letting it go little by little.
Interesting.
They can't find someone to give it to. They don't have anyone internally that they want to pass it on to. And they might just not want to deal with all of it because it feels like a hot mess to them. And they say their business and they're like, no one's going to buy my coffee shop. You know, it's like, well, that's not true.
Right.
We could go in. I'm trained. I can go in and just a rule of thumb and say, okay, if you're a business owner, do this. Take your adjusted EBITDA. EBITDA is earnings before interest, taxes, deductions, amortization. If you have a CPA, they'll know exactly what we're talking about. The adjustment to that is all the perks in your business. So what does your company really pay for? Does it buy your car, your cell phone, your internet at your home?
Right.
If you're not doing stuff like this, consider looking into that and the audit risk because that's another way of saving some money.
Absolutely.
Right? A lot of it is legitimate. Sometimes it's not legitimate. That's where you get to decide what you want to do, right? I'm not advocating this, but I like to train people in saying what I learned in New York. You're not breaking the law until you get caught. Now, we don't advocate breaking the law. We advocate following the law, following the tax code and regulations. But there's a lot of moves you can do that helps you bring in more deductions and expenses, especially if you're a business owner. And a lot of business owners are doing that because they've been educated by their advisors to do so. Well, take all those perks that you're getting, put the cost of them back into the business as if you were not in this business. So at the end of the year, here's how much cash your business is making. And now ask yourself
you can
this.
use that.
Use that cash and we're going to multiply it. The question is by what? Well, if your business is a hot mess, where if you walked away from the business and it completely crumbled, multiply by 2.
Okay.
That's how much you're going to get if you were to sell it to anybody.
Interesting. Okay.
You're probably going to have to stay on for another 2 to 5 years to help them clean it all up. But if it's making revenue and there's cash at the end of the day, profits, why would someone not want that?
Yeah.
There's so many people that would die to get into a business that's already established. It might be a hot mess, but then their efforts is not starting it up, building the reputation, the goodwill that you've created. Their efforts are working on the transition, cleaning it up, and raising that revenue. It's a huge head start, especially if a business has been around for a while and already had a name for itself, like a coffee shop that's been here for 10 years. It might not be the best coffee shop in the world, but people know it's there. People know what it is. And all it has to do is improve.
Yeah.
You know, the business owner might not want to improve because they are at a different part of their lives or they don't want to work on it that much. But there's always someone that can come in, get an SBA loan and create a deal.
Love that.
So now if your business is an average business saying, okay, we're not the worst. I know this. I've worked a lot internally. We're not the best. The typical average business today sells at a multiple of 4x. So take your adjusted EBITDA, multiply it by 4. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Some people say, yeah, at the end of the day, I've got $100,000 in my business and these profits. I use it on expenses so I don't pay taxes for my S Corp or something like that. Well, that's a $400,000 value. If we can sell your coffee shop for $400,000, would that be better than just closing your coffee shop and shutting it all down?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we could get that $400,000 put into a retirement account or put into some kind of brokerage account, making 5%, 5% of $400,000, that's $20,000.
Yep.
Do you see that? So this is a huge conversation every business owner should be having with their financial advisor or personal family lawyer. In fact, not every professional advisor knows how to deal with this stuff. I'm actually trained as a certified exit planning associate.
That's a great question. So
there's a whole organization called SEPA from advisors and lawyers that this is what we do is help people figure out how to exit their business. So I'm not a business attorney. I don't go in handling the contracts or the employment agreements. I have business attorneys in town and all around that I bring to these businesses.
Interesting.
People call me when they want to focus either on formation, that was like my first client, or what I like to talk about more, succession and exit.
Yep.
And we help clients find the pros to come together to clean things up that we can change a best-in-class business. It has a multiple of 7 to 14x.
Wow, 14. Wow.
So notice the real concept here. It's the same business making the same revenue. If it's a crappy business, it's valued at $200,000 if it has $100,000 at the end of the year, adjusted EBITDA. If it's a good business, it's valued at $400,000. If it's a best-in-class business, it's valued at $700,000 to over $1 million.
Right.
It makes the exact same revenue.
Interesting.
Do you see that?
Yep.
So what this does when you're ready to exit is we're shifting the conversation from growing revenue to growing value.
I love that.
And there's a lot of things that low-hanging fruits that we can do that raises value. And by raising that value, once we get the value to where we want it to be in about 2 years, then the owner is ready to sell. And during that time, we plug them in with an actual financial advisor if they don't already have one to have a conversation of that last 80% regret rule.
Right.
When they sell, they're going to regret it. So better have a conversation with a financial advisor of what do you want to do with the rest of your life? Because then, do you want to golf all the time? Do you want to start another business? Do you want to go work just to be busy, be active and not sitting on the couch? And when you do that, that's when the portfolio gets strategized, that when we sell and have all this cash, here's how we're going to invest it.
Interesting.
So that you can make that income in retirement, save for your long-term care, all that. Do you see how?
Yep.
Wow.
It's like a whole puzzle piece.
I'm like a fire hose of information to people. They're going to be going back on this podcast, and I'm going to be like, don't waste your time.
Well, that's a great point. Yeah. Well, and I think that's what a great resource to have this podcast, but also for people to be able to hear this, see the kinds of things that you have knowledge about so that they can reach out to you. It's
and even
great.
if they don't, hopefully from here, this is why I came on, they now know a little bit more to be dangerous.
Yes.
That they can go and just do these rough rule of thumb calculations and say, aha, my business, like most mid-sized businesses, they make over $1 million in revenue every year.
Right.
And depending on their margins and the expense, like I had someone that was so proud, my tile business makes $2 million a year. And I was like, that's great. What's your adjusted EBITDA? Oh, it's only $200,000. Wow. Why does your tile business have so much in business expenses? You know, it's like, I'm not going to act like I know how to do a tile business and all that. Because we have some great ones in town, but I'm just like, geez, that's a very expensive business to be in.
That is. You know? Wow.
So like a typical law firm has a 20 to 30% margin. If a law firm has $1 million in revenue per year, it's going to have $200,000 to $300,000 in cash.
Right.
And so a law firm that you want to sell to another lawyer that's established, has goodwill, and maybe you have to stay on one extra year just to create a transition campaign.
Absolutely.
Every business has a little succession period, you know. Boom, you could sell that law firm if it's best in class at 7x, $1.4 million.
Wow.
You know? So that's incredibly
exit
valuable.
plan.
That's an exponential difference in the value of your business. That's what we want to talk to business owners now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of business owners heading into right. So if you're a CPA, financial advisor, if you're any of these professionals, there's your market strategy right there.
Yeah.
If you're a regular person that has investable assets and stuff like that, now you know the importance of asset inventory, estate plan review every 3 years. If you're a business owner, my favorite people of the day,
Mine too.
you've got a serious conversation you should have with your family, and then go find a good advisor to talk about this particular issue. How are you going to exit your business? And if you've never imagined it would be possible to exit your business, this is my opportunity to slap you in the face and say, stop being an idiot. You absolutely can exit your business. There is no special business that can't be sold. Okay. Some of them are more sellable than others.
Great way to word that.
But that doesn't mean yours can't be sold either. You can transition it, tweak it to a point where you turned it from a lifestyle into a box that can easily be handed off to someone. And who knows how long it'll take. On average, for our clients, it's about 2 to 3 years that we're seeing. Within the industry, 2 to 3 years of building up the value. And then we're going into quarterly conversations of, do you want to keep raising value, or are you ready to sell? You know? But it's so enlightening. It's so empowering for the business owner that
fun.
This is the time to really have those conversations.
It's also kind of fun in my mind. It's exciting.
This is, so imagine where I came from. I came from tragedy and loving to talk to people about money. And at that time, I was like, what stocks are you getting into? Right? Now I'm like, wow, the world of finance is so huge.
It is.
And there's so many options that it's not just about having a stock portfolio anymore. It's just about managing risk. You don't have to be a millionaire to be incredibly happy, thrilled, and financially free to do what you want to do. You just have to understand your risks, your savings, and be organized.
Mind shift. For
exactly.
sure. That's so interesting. So coming off work a little bit, I would love to know 3 things about you personally. Fun facts.
Okay, fun facts. My wife said to me, you love money and tax. Anytime I talk to you about money and tax, you light up. Anytime I talk to you about anything else, you have no care at all.
Really? Like anything else?
I mean, that's not true.
Vacation?
You want to talk to me about vacations? Like we travel. Like my whole business is virtual. I designed my lifestyle around my business to have freedom.
Absolutely.
So something that's really personal to me is I joke and I tell people like my religion is time. If I had to break my faith down into like some higher being or something, it's time.
I like
time is my higher being, because time is the one thing that's a constant. That every second, every breath we take, time is just gone, and you don't get it back. And so when you think that way, it's not about telling people, hurry the hell up and make my coffee. I don't have time. No. But it is about, okay, I don't want to live YOLO where I'm doing stupid shit because I think I'll never live for tomorrow. I plan on living to my 100 so I can support my clients. That's the goal. I told my wife, I don't care when you die. I'm living to 100. You keep me alive till I'm over 100 so I can support all my clients.
There you go.
So from there, how we spend our time is precious. Part of the reason why I left enterprise and left being a patent attorney was because I didn't feel like I had enough control over my time the way I wanted to, working in 9 to 5. So I started my own company. That clearly did not necessarily have me working 9 to 5 anymore. Now I work a lot longer.
I was going to say, I think you probably increased your hours.
I increased my hours.
Just judging from my own experience.
On average, typical lawyers, like 12-hour days. It's really bad. And you can imagine that's incredibly stressful. And some people would say that's not a way to live. So I said, well, actually, now with technology, thank God I live in the time that I live. I think we all live in the best time ever. Even with the chaos and the animosity, all of that is just louder than ever because of digital communication, internet, and globalization. But look at how we're all handling it globally as a human society. We're having deeper conversations. We're including a lot more nations to the table. So I think as a human race, we're going to do just fine. Long term, I'm talking like next 100 years.
I hope so.
So with that, then we're going to keep producing babies. We're going to keep growing in consumption. We still have an existential crisis with climate change. All that means is we're going to readapt how we live on this planet. The planet's not going anywhere. The planet's not going to explode. But where the sun shines is going to shift and change. That's what climate change is saying to us. The sun is going to shine. And in fact, it's like San Francisco is becoming LA. LA is becoming Death Valley. That's what's really happening here, you know? So with all that said, you can make a few general assumptions of what you're expecting is going to come through out of life when you analyze from a bird's eye view. And taking that into account, plus I want my freedom and my time. So here's what I said to my wife. I said, wherever you work, your work is going to be the anchor of what happens to us, because I'm going to design my law firm where it's 100% virtual because I want to be able to work anywhere in the world. And my dream was to be abroad, out of the country for 1 month per year.
Oh, I love
at
that.
least. So that was the mission. Took me about a year to half a year to get her on board.
Yeah.
And as bittersweet as COVID was, I lost family members in COVID too.
Oh, yeah.
COVID unleashed the world with virtual technology. Like it became better.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden her company said, well, we're virtual now too. And I was like, look at you, girl. We're going to
hit the
France. You know? And so I was like, book my ticket.
Yep.
I'm working from France next year and let's figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
Now, that became our mindset where we have to be out of this country at least once a year. That's going to give us a global education. It's going to give us comfort and peace of mind, experiences. Travel. So when we did it the first year, I realized it really made the rest of the year nice. I had we coincidentally did it in February for my birthday. We went to Italy for about 2 weeks. We were just testing it out.
Yep.
And I was like, that one trip resonated with me all year long. And seeing another culture, going to Pompeii, going to Rome, seeing all that in firsthand, seeing it, not just seeing it on the internet or in books.
Totally.
You know?
Totally.
It really makes a difference. So I advocate to everyone, travel. Please travel. It will make you a better global citizen. It will open your eyes to the world. But now, we've been doing this for over 7 years. So now we're spending about 2 months out of the country per year. I'm running a law firm, clients all over the country, clients in California, and all my meetings are on Zoom.
I love it.
I do have some employees down to earth here, like Eva is our senior planning coordinator. So she's
Eva.
here. And so we've adapted our systems and programs to not hinder the customer experience, to allow me to still be there for my clients whenever. But now even Eva is able to take some trips and still able to work abroad. If she wanted a trip to Hawaii, law firm gave her a laptop.
Wants a trip to Hawaii.
I know, I'm aware. And I'm inch by inch, we're making it happen. We're trying to, and I want my employees to be happy.
Absolutely.
So now I realize, okay, I don't make the high net worth salary, my W-2. Like I was making 6 figures galore, grand salary. But realized I was a W-2 employee and half of that went to income tax. And I couldn't control it. W-2s
or your
have
schedule.
the least amount of control. And I had to be in the office 9 to 5. And even with COVID, I looked at the office, they were still coming in. You know, the visa was like, hell no, come to the office. Right? Put on a mask.
Right, exactly.
So from there, that was where once we were able to build the practice this way, we got all our clients in the mindset that way. COVID just catalyzed that. I was already doing it before COVID. COVID catalyzed it. There was less resistance from clients saying, no, I want to meet you in person. You know? I still meet clients in person, but we charge for it. Because now that I have this whole virtual practice, I am back-to-back meetings. It gets a little hard when you go to Europe. You live in California, you're going to work East Coast hours. So think of it as you're in France.
That's a very good point.
You are starting your job at about 2 p.m. French time. And from 2 p.m. to 12, you're working 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. California time, that 5 p.m. East Coast time. So there's a little bit of a nuance that doesn't make it as easy. I'm not as highly productive being here working a 9 to 5 shift, so to speak. But because of that freedom and because of that enjoyment, I'm able to afford a lot of this a little bit more cost effectively, playing with some business expenses like my internet, paid for by the business, stuff like that.
Totally.
Paying my own expenses. And then, yes, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm putting all my business expenses on a credit card and maxing out my miles. And I'm using miles to get my business class flights
I do the same.
over and doing it. If you're an entrepreneur in a business, you do. I realize, oh my God, my income compared to Visa is like a third. My salary is a third of what I was making.
But there's
then from there, because of all those deductions, the write-offs, the perks, and then the points that you get because running a business is expensive. Wow, am I living a much better lifestyle?
Oh, I love that.
And it showed me instantly in 1 year, okay, I don't need a high salary to live like a baller.
Yeah.
You know? You don't need a ton of money to do that. You just need entrepreneurship and investment. So I tell all my clients, invest. Invest, invest, invest. If you're a W-2, great, that's fine. Because there's security there. Benefits, security of job security, income security. I don't have that.
Right.
I worry sometimes. I have some months where my business just burned through $50,000 and I'm like, holy crap, where are we going to get this money from?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've learned how to build up security and manage that risk. Therefore, by managing that risk, I could give my employees peace of mind saying your job is secure and safe. Don't you worry. No layoffs, So I had to become CEO.
Which is a whole nother.
That's a whole different ballgame. Whole different like training and mindset shift.
A new stress to hold.
Like my first 3 years, I don't think I was a fabulous CEO. Now this year and a little bit of last, I think I got a little bit better. My business is only 8 years old now, So I hope that by year 10, I'm a fabulous CEO and we have more lawyers and we're growing and I'm still living the lifestyle that I wanted to live originally.
I love that.
It's the plan. Jasmine's now at another company. My wife was Jasmine, by the way. She's at another company and she's still working virtual.
Great.
She made that her thing when she switches jobs or does whatever. She's in a career in a job that works virtual. Not everyone has that privilege or luxury.
Right.
I'm not trying to say that this is the life everyone should be living.
Right.
It's not a glamorous life. We're working hard to be able to get what we want out of life. And we had deep conversations on that. And we're reviewing our estate plan every 3 years. And that's allowing us to know that, okay, the way we're spending, the way these trips are costing, we are still saving money. We're still growing our investments. And the way that as an attorney, I keep my eye on the economy, the markets, the taxes, the politics, all my clients and myself have this knowledge base they can tap into.
Beautiful.
And then they can plan from there and project from there. So
that is beautiful.
Long story short, anyone that owns a home or has a minor child needs an estate plan.
Yeah.
Because probate for those two scenarios or combo of scenarios is vicious.
Yep.
It's very bad. I would go as far to say anyone that has real estate in California or a minor child needs a trust. But I don't anchor on that. I'm not here to peddle out trusts. I'm just here to say it's really top tier solution for all these problems. But there's ways where if you don't want to trust, it can all be addressed. I love that. For those of us that are business owners or have, I would say, over $1 million in your retirement account right now, that's going to be a pain in the ass when you're forced to take that out. You need a financial advisor.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. You definitely need a lawyer. I would say the 4 cornerstones of your life: legal, insurance, finance, and tax. Get off of TurboTax and start paying a CPA. Stop being a stickler on costs because you'll be surprised on how much these professionals can educate you when they're doing this 9 to 5. And you will then be able to make more money from there. Use the mind shift to say, I'm at the point where I don't need to bootstrap this stuff anymore.
Right.
I should go ahead and spend a little bit more money on the higher costs because the qualitative benefits that will come back to you you'll make more money.
Yep.
You'll have more time.
Gives you more information.
Exactly.
I love that. Where can people find you if they want to hire you or if they want to set up a consultation with you?
So skyunlimited.law.
Great.
SKY unlimited.law. We have a contact page there. You could schedule a quick question with me, free 15 minutes. I don't bite. Sometimes as you can see, I talk forever.
I'm glad to know now that
I might take your 15 minutes and turn it into an hour. If you ask me an interesting question, I'll talk to you. But if your question's not that interesting, then the whole point is we're seeing, is there something I can talk to you about that we need to deep dive into a deeper session? And that's when we'll analyze from there. But that's one way. I don't know if you guys will post email or anything.
Yeah. I'm happy to.
info@skyunlimited.law. You can just email us there. That goes to the entire team so they'll know to respond. Our office is based in San Francisco, and we have an office here in Petaluma.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, but we don't. This is like our operations office, So we usually meet over Zoom with all our clients.
Yes. Yeah.
There are clients that want to come to the office. We work on arranging that.
Okay.
Those are not necessarily free appointments because it takes a little more time than the meeting itself for me to coordinate my time, which has gotten very precious.
Yeah.
I even make house calls.
Oh, wow,
I have some clients that they really just want me to come over.
Yeah.
They're willing to pay for it.
Yep.
I'm happy to be there for them.
Yep.
I cancel out my entire day for that house call, and I give them as much time as they need, and they love it.
That.
Yeah.
That's a great
so
service.
Just start by reaching out and just saying, hi, how are you? I need some help.
I love that.
You would really catch my attention if you say, hi, I made a lot of money and I have money problems. I think I need your help.
Or if it says like mo money, mo problems.
Problems.
That's the email
I'm here to help.
Line. You're gonna be like urgent. I love it. That's fantastic.
What I'll say, just because Amy's offered me this opportunity to come on the podcast, if you want your estate plan reviewed, or if you're just starting out from the woodwork, then the way we work is we schedule a family wealth planning session.
I love it.
That is a 2-hour working session, not a consultation. I don't have time to give free consults because I have to get you financially organized in order to tell you, here's what we're going to do when we build your comprehensive estate plan. And then I can tell you, here's how much it's going to cost, how long it's going to take, all that jazz.
Right.
And then you decide from there, do you want to hire us or no? You don't have to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That planning session is how everyone gets educated like this too. That usually costs $770. If anyone reaches out to us and they tell us, I heard you on Amy's podcast, we'll give you that session for free.
Oh my gosh, thank you for doing that for everybody.
You are very welcome.
Oh,
Just
that's
little
awesome.
caveats.
Yeah.
You're going to reserve with your credit card.
Perfect.
You cannot cancel this session. So I'll give it to you for free.
Yeah.
But if you cancel on me, you just wasted a lot of resources and time for other clients. People are booking their time with me now 2 months out. So we are very busy. It's not that we don't want to support. It's we have a lot of demand. And we support our clients with all their needs because we don't charge by the hour. So our time is really precious. So we're not here to be sticklers. I just want to make that crystal clear.
Yeah, I love that.
You are not allowed to cancel your family wealth planning session when you schedule it. You can reschedule.
Can't afford to miss it.
But if you cancel, we are charging you $770. So try to take advantage of this opportunity.
Well, and it's on Zoom. You can do it from anywhere.
Exactly. As long as you do the homework and you show up, it's free. It's so easy.
Awesome. Thank you for
I promise you're going to get a lot of insight on your own personal finances.
That's amazing. Really cool Thank you for offering that. I really appreciate that. So
my pleasure.
Well, thank you for coming in today. It was so
much,
interesting to hear all of this. So thank you. I appreciate you for sharing that with all of us and taking the time out of your day to do that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for listening.
If you like what you hear, please be sure to like and subscribe, learn more about Sonoma County and all that we have to offer here.